Hello, everyone, and welcome to the episode 4 of Weekend Bytes Season 2 with me, your host, Saishri. Hope you all are doing well. And now, without any further delay, let me introduce the guest for this episode. He is the winner of Mr. Gay World India 2016, a TEDx speaker, and an art creator. He has gained immense success from a very young age. He's an extremely confident, determined, and opinionated person. So let's welcome Anwesh Sahoo. Hi Anwesh, how are you?
Hi Saishri, thank you so much for having me and thank you for such a lovely introduction. So much food for my dwindling self-worth.
Oh my god, it's all worth it. You all deserve it. Okay, so moving ahead, let's start with you introducing yourself to our audience.
Oh my god, that is one of the most difficult tasks for me. I was literally just, designing my website and I had like multiple, names or sort of, designations attached to my name. And my mother was like, are you sure you want to have all of them on the website? So it's very difficult to define me in just one word or just like few words for that matter. But, for all our viewers, for all our listeners, I basically happen to be the product of a beauty pageant. I won Mr. Gay World India in 2016 at the age of 20. Very grateful that I had such an incredible opportunity to represent India at such a young age as a queer person of color. It's a big deal for me, especially from where I come from. I come from a very small, place in Odisha, a place where, that most Odiyas also don't know about. So yeah, I think I'm just someone who really likes living, his life on his own terms, and I'm someone who's very artistic. So I've been working as an illustrator for a very long time. I've been working now. Of course, I've transitioned into a designer and now a technical artist. But I've also freelanced as a model, as an actor, done a lot of gigs here and there, and just very grateful that I've had so many wonderful opportunities coming my way, and I've made the most of whatever I've got in hand.
Oh my god, you're into like so many things. I was trying to count, but I just lost count at the moment. So tell us about your initial journey, how you got into modeling.
So I was always a kid who really liked being on stage. It didn't happen like, one night, all of a sudden just woke up one morning and be like, aaj se mujhe model banna hai, I want to be in front of the camera. I thoroughly enjoyed attention even when I was a kid. I used to be very popular for, for my dancing skills when I was a kid, because first of all, usually people don't expect boys to dance really well, and I would dance to all the Shah Rukh Khan songs, especially that my sister would choreograph for me. She's an Odissi dancer, so she would choreograph stuff for me, and I would go and I would perform, and everybody would be looking at me with big eyes, kitna chota sa bacha kaise dance kar raha hai, and all of that. So I really enjoyed being on stage, being in front of the audience. I loved all that accolades that came my way. I was also a debater. I was also into declamations, speeches, recitations, from a very young age. Like every form of, almost like any time I would get an opportunity to be on stage, I was there. Whether it be dancing or music or acting, theater, again,
oh my god.
all of that. So I was a very multifaceted kid, and I did it with all my heart. Whatever came my way, I did it with a lot of sincerity, and I think that's something that I live by even till date. But when it comes to modeling specifically, I was around the time I was 18. I had just come out to myself, and like a few years ago, I had come out to myself, and I realized that I was also coming out to myself in terms of what I wanted to do in my career. Because earlier it was just all about कि पढ़ना है, you have to become someone, how Odia typical families are. They all want their kids to do really well academically, and I was doing very well academically. So my father was very specific and very vehement that he wanted me to either pursue medicine or engineering, and I knew that if I would pursue medicine, there was no way for me to really get out of it, because if you take up medicine, it has to become your life. Otherwise, you cannot be a doctor and do. It's very difficult for you to take up 100 different things. I mean, it's possible. There are also a lot of good doctors who are doing a lot of different kinds of stuff today. So, I mean, you really can be everything. But yeah, I think at that point in time, I just had that understanding that if I take up medicine, then it has to be all of me taking that up. And there was, of course, engineering and. Because I was good with science, so I was like, I think this is something that I can still take up, and we'll see, we'll figure out stuff. And there was also a little part of me who wanted to be a designer, so I was really like just trying to figure out banna kya hai. So
Yeah, it's also difficult because you're good at so many things, and choosing just like one particular thing as a career, it's so difficult. I get
and
it.
I would always find it funny that people were like मुझे तो यही बनना है, and I know I do all of these things. Like, how can you become just one thing? I mean, it's that to me was very, very fascinating that someone would want to do just one thing all their life, and I was not that person, certainly, and it was very difficult for me to find people just like me. I still is very difficult to find people just like me. Anyway, I was I think it was actually my second year of college, and I remember doing an internship with Coves, who had become just they had just entered the Indian market, and we had done this style ambassador kind of some gig with them. And through that gig, I came across a lot of people who were fashion bloggers back then. And fashion blogging was, you wear nice clothes and you stand in front of the camera and you get pictures, put it up on your blog, and people look at it and think, okay, wow, amazing. So I was like, this is fabulous. I was anyway very enamored with fashion. I was consuming like copious amounts of fashion articles, fashion references. So I was like, this is what I want to do. Let's see. Never thought about money at that point in time though, but once I started doing it, I started feeling that fashion blogging was something that I didn't specifically want to pursue further, because I felt like there were way too many clothes that I had to sort of start maintaining or keeping, and I just didn't find that I didn't find it sustainable in some ways. I felt like I'm buying so many clothes, but what am I going to do with them? Like, I'm just wearing it for a few pictures, and what am I going to do with those outfits after? Maybe maybe there are fashion bloggers who do it in a smarter way, but at that point in time, I just realized that I wanted to do something more. And there was a friend of mine who was studying in Pearl Academy, and she was doing one of her photography courses, and she wanted someone to model for one of her those I think blogs, or it was actually a magazine. It was a college magazine, so it was an assignment, and she was like, what, Anwesh, just come and do a couple of pictures for me. I think you'll be really good at it. And back then, I was really like, for me, dressing up was just, wearing like a nice pant shirt, अच्छे से पहन लो अच्छे से, and style it up a little the way I used to do it. But I didn't put makeup or anything, just moisturizer, and I used to go out and she clicked a couple of my pictures, and with sunlight vagara mein and all of that in SLR, we looked so beautiful. And I was like, "Arey wow, I'm looking so good, it's amazing." So I did all of that, and then she used those pictures, and then her style, mentor, one of her basically teachers who were teaching her styling in college, they really liked the picture. They asked for my contact and all of that, and I was like, what? Maybe I have it in me. I don't know.
And, surely you do. I think.
I was totally like enamored by someone, finding me pretty and beautiful. I was like, very nice, great, and. I was really like just another engineering student, didn't know anything about modeling or how modeling agencies work, very new to the entire industry. So around that time, I knew that I wanted to participate in Miss India, but I wanted to do it because I was sick of, the judgment that was around me, and I knew that I did not want to keep coming out to multiple people again and again. It was becoming very tiring for me, and I was hoping that if I become Miss India, it would, ek tir se 100 nishane. It's like, my entire family will get to know that I'm gay. Then I will also have, I will get an opportunity to talk about queerness to a larger audience, which was one of the biggest, my motivations to become Miss India. I was also very idealistic. You have to understand, I was only 19. So I was, I believed that I could change the world. I still believe that I could change the world, but, back then I had this, this.
You are still doing, because I've seen your stories and the awareness that you create. That's really great.
Thank you, Saishri.
Okay, so like moving, yeah. Thank you for trying, like awareing people and educating them. So moving ahead, as you were the winner of Mr. Gay World India 2016, so how was your experience there?
So I think when it started off, I actually didn't know, or I don't think I very well understood what I had signed up for, because I think I of course believe that I was an amazing model, because I grew up watching America's Next Top Model, believing that I am America's Next Top Model, I am Asia's Next Top Model. And I would, do all these poses in front of my mirror, but here I was doing it for, like commercially, and I had to do it professionally. And I realized that I had some, limitations as well, because I was, I'm not as tall as what a professional model ideally is supposed to be. And most international models, they have to be a minimum of 6'1", 6'2", 6'1". I think these days it's like, even women for that matter, you have to be 6'1". So I'm only 5 feet 8 inches. So I knew that it was going to be doubly hard for me to sort of get into the mainstream, modeling gigs. And even when I had won Mr. Gay India, there were a lot of things that were happening. I had to be a lot of things. When you go for a pageant, you're not just, you don't just have to be beautiful to look at, but you have to be very smart, you have to be very intelligent, you have, like a cause that you're fighting for, that you have to go and present that entire idea, the ideation and the execution of your campaigns. You have to be enterprising in a lot of ways as well. So I think in those 3 months, I learned so much about life that I would have never been able to learn, otherwise. And I think I was also stubborn in a lot of ways. Like I always believed that मैं कपड़े ऐसे ही पहनूंगा, उससे ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं पहन पाऊंगा मैं. But just getting into Mr. Gay India, I knew that I had to walk in an underwear. I had to walk. My national costume was literally a skimpy little underwear and just like a long jacket and a beautiful headgear. So I knew that I was getting into something where I had to be more and more, aware of my body and the way I carry myself. So yeah, I think just starting out with Mr. Gay India, I think it was quite a struggle for me. But I did it. I mean, I knew that I had it in me, and I really wanted to do extremely well. So I just hit the gym. I did whatever I was asked to do, and whatever I could do in my limited resources that I have. And they have to understand that Miss India or Mr. India has a lot of different brands sort of sponsoring them. When you go for a Mr. Gay World, you literally are your own sponsor. And Selena Chetri was kind enough. Selena Chetri, the wonderful actress and that's activist. She's done a lot for the LGBTIQA+ community, and she was kind enough to come ahead and sponsor my tickets to Malta when I went for Mr. Gay World. So I had very little help, but I was very grateful to have whatever little help I had. And I think in those 3 months, I knew that I had to completely transform myself. I had my entire wardrobe went through a complete, shift. I was starting to wear like shorter clothes, which I was not wearing earlier. And Sushant, who's of course an incredible, icon at this point in time right now, a drag legend. Yes. And she reached out to me and she was like, you have to fix this, you have to fix that. And she really taught me everything, from makeup to hair to grooming, to answering stuff the right way. So I was learning everything little by little, and I think Mr. Gay World was a fabulous experience for me. I met some really incredible models there, spokespersons and people who are doing really incredible work for the community, for themselves as well. I think that's also something that's nice to have, good reference points to have. And coming out of that, I was like, there were really good contestants in my specific year as well. So I really learned a lot from a lot of them as to how do I carry myself, what are the things that I want to achieve in my life eventually. So
Right.
yeah.
So, like, as you talked about the height factor, right? So, do you think that it's kind of not justified for people who does not fit into that criteria of height factor? Because there are like, amazing models who are finding it very much difficult to come into forefront just because of that height factor.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that?
Well, I've tried fighting it all my life, but you always have, those 10 tall models, and then you'll have only one, short model, and then one fat model, and then one, all of that, it's still the kind
Yes.
of world where even when you talk about inclusive models, you still need like 10 those quintessential model looking individuals, and then one or two of those inclusive models. So that's
Okay.
very much there. I think I initially, when I started out, I felt really bad, and I felt like, it's so unfair that I didn't choose to be this height. This is my height. Like, this is genetics. I can't do anything about it, really. But I
Right.
knew that I. How long do you even want me to keep fighting about it? I wanted to move on, and I wanted to create like a. I realized that I had to be lot more than a model to be considered as a good model. So I started taking up acting gigs, and I started taking up, even when I was whatever little modeling gigs I got. It's possible. There is a lot of work out there, but you have to
Hmm.
start small. And I think I do agree with the fact that yes, it is going to be doubly hard for you to get any of those international campaigns. And as for anybody who's starting out as a model, you want to do those campaigns for a Dolce and Gabbana or a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton,
Yeah.
or a Burberry. You want to do those international big campaigns, which a lot of Indian models right now are doing on the international stage. One of my very good friends, Ravina, she happens to be my junior from NIFT, and she's doing so. She's signed with Anima. She's doing fabulous. I think, she's been on Harper's Bazaar multiple times.
Hmm.
And it's so good to see her, do such good work. And she's 6'1", so I be on, and I've done a lot of campaigns with her, like for college assignments. Also, we would do a lot of stuff together. And I knew that she was going to get a lot of good campaigns because, of course, she's beautiful. She's a gorgeous model, really good to work with. But she also has,
Right.
that incredible height that just makes it easier for her to grab onto those opportunities. And I had to work doubly hard. Of course, I happen to be gay also. I'm gay, I'm brown, I'm femme. Like,
Right.
where do you see people like me even on mainstream in mainstream representation? So I think I would suggest that instead of fighting it, just keep doing your work. That's the only way about it. You have to keep looking at the glass as half full. It's very difficult. Trust me, it is very difficult. But that's the only way. That's how the cookie crumbles. I mean, and
Yes.
keep doing a lot of good
Exactly.
work, and you will reach a point where you will start getting those right. Really nice campaigns and really
Hmm.
good work if you really want to pursue it full time.
Right. So, along your modeling journey, what would you consider your biggest accomplishment till now? Like, which moment?
I think the fact that I've been able to be a role model to a lot of people, that to me probably is the
Okay.
biggest.
Surely. Yes.
Absolutely. I think
That's
a lot of people constantly reach out to me, and they love it when they see me in a certain campaign. I remember doing this one campaign for Dementia, and they which were it's a men's underwear brand. So
right.
how many gay effeminate men have you seen on a men's underwear, in a men's underwear campaign, that too, a campaign that is based out of India. That campaign,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately received a lot of flack from the cisgender heterosexual population, who thought that why would they use an effeminate guy and all of that. A lot of homophobia, a lot of femphobia on the internet, which
Oh
is
my
which
God.
is at this point in time. I receive a lot of rape threats. I receive a lot of hate online. Very, very
Okay.
unfortunate. But I was grateful that I had that opportunity, because then a lot of gay boys looked at me and felt like, oh wow, we can be this as
Mhm.
well. And I don't think that when we talk about representation, gay men or effeminate gay men are just not there in mainstream media as beautiful individuals. And we are as beautiful, and we are as desirable, and we should be looked at as that. For me, I think yes,
Exactly.
becoming a role.
Exactly. Exactly. Totally agree. Like, that's how it's supposed to be. Let people live and you live.
Totally,
So,
I totally agree with that.
yes. So, besides modeling, you also work as a senior technical artist. So, how do you manage time for your work as well as modeling?
That's a very good question. I get that question a lot. I think because I not only work as a senior technical artist, but I also work as an illustrator. I freelance as an illustrator. My
Yes.
recent campaign with Disney and Star has just gone live. It's called Deck of Pride. And I had the opportunity of designing 5 of the cards, which is actually the most number of cards by any of the artists in the deck. And I'm so grateful that Star team believed in my ability, and they gave me this opportunity, and it's come out beautifully. It's gotten a lot of love. I also freelance. I have my own label, The Feminaire, where I do design wedding invites for a lot of my clients as well. And I work as a model and actor. So it's a lot of things on my plate, and sometimes it does get very, very overwhelming. But I've always been this child who did 100 things. Like, I grew up being that. I was always, even when I was in school, I was doing like 5 different debate competitions in a month, and then I was also coming back and doing my exams and studying and all of that. So I'm used to doing a lot of things, but every time I do something, I give it all my heart. And I think now I do realize that as I'm also walking up the ladder in my official space in my office, where I no more I'm a junior designer, I'm a senior designer, I'm a senior technical artist. I get to sort of lead projects. I work on more and more work now. It's becoming more and more difficult for me, but I plan stuff. So every time I get a campaign, I make sure that I get enough time to sort of decide and plan my month. So I remember when I did the campaign for Bumble, they reached out to me a month before, so I could plan, when I would do the campaign, and I took the leave accordingly from my work, and I planned everything so that my work and my office does not get affected by it at all. So it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of getting overwhelmed, losing my mind, and just wanting to just cry it out sometimes. But I think now I've reached a point where I've done so much work, especially this past year. I've done so much work that I'm very happy with myself. So I'm taking it slow, and I think through what I want to do. In fact, the last 1 week I was offered 3 different campaigns by really big brands. Brands that I would have died to work for, but it was this very small. They gave me the timeline. Just recently, and they were like, we have to do this in the next 3-4 days, and I knew that I was not going to be able to take up something which is going to happen in a shorter duration of time. I need to sort of plan. So I think when someone reaches out to me, I specifically ask them to give me like enough time so that I can decide whether I can do it or not. And I'm very happy with the amount of work that I'm able to do as a model, as well as sort of balance it out with my day job. It's fun for me, and we'll see how things unfold. I mean, right now anyway, I've reached a point where I have a lot of friends who are constantly working in this space. I've done a film as well called Sab Rabde Bande, which is a documentary, and I have I've lent my voice to the entire documentary. So and now I have a group of friends who are filmmakers, and they just call me whenever they want, and we plan stuff, and we move forward from there. So
I totally love how organized you are. Like, that's really amazing. So as you started a blog with the name The Ephemeral, tell us something about that. When did you start, and what was your motive behind it?
So I started out when I was 17, I think. 17. I was just out of school, and I just wanted to talk about me. I wanted to talk about more people like me, and I felt that there were not enough conversations which were happening on the online space. And the internet was still a novelty at that point in time. I'm talking about 10, 11 years ago, when internet was not cheaply available as it is today.
Right.
So I think I just wanted to talk about myself, and I felt that I needed to give the blog a name that I associate with the most. And I felt that it was extremely unjust that I was being looked down for being effeminate when I didn't choose to be feminine. It is something that I'm born with. And I wanted to take away that negative stigma away from the word effeminate, which is why I named my blog The Effeminaire, which is a Latin word for anything that is related to effeminacy. and it is just another way for me to proclaim that space and reclaim that space, and put it out there that it is absolutely okay to be effeminate. It is as beautiful and as powerful to be effeminate as it is to not be feminine. So you
Exactly.
can be anything that you wish to be, and you just have to own who you are as an individual. You have to take your original self out there and talk about it, and let it teach people. I mean, I sometimes it is frustrating. I'm going to be very honest. There are times when I'm like, why do I have to work doubly hard to prove myself? And I have as much talent as any
Really,
of my
of course.
set
Yes.
folks. But it is a fact that I have to work doubly hard. I would have. It took me good 5 years to reach a point where I'm doing the kind of work that I'm extremely proud of. I won Mr. India in 2016. 5 years since it took, I'm finally at a point where I'm able to, I get to be in parties with all these important people, and I'm having a conversation with them. It did not happen 5 years ago, but we had to constantly, if I would have just cried it out, if I would have just cried and sat down, then nothing would have happened. I just kept trying and trying and trying over the years. And then, today I'm at a point where I'm very proud of where I am in life. And I'm like, I've truly created a space for myself, and I should be, grateful for all the opportunities that have come my way. And I thank anybody and everybody who's, given me a lot of, good energy and good opportunities to take myself a level up. And I've used every opportunity that has come my way to the fullest. जो भी आया मेरे साथ, whoever has approached me with whatever projects, last year I was in a video with in a Ritviz video. We shot that video, I remember, literally like in a few hours. I had office that day, and I was like, you just have 6 hours, film this thing and leave. In the pandemic, at the peak of the pandemic, we shot that film.
Okay.
And I was like, and it was a lot of pressure for me, to be honest. I mean, how many Miss Indias work that way? They just go and they sit in their vanity vans. And I mean, I'm not I'm not looking down upon them. I'm just stating facts here. I'm not looking down upon anyone. But it took me 5 years to reach a point where I am being provided with a vanity van of my own, and my own space to get ready and come for a shoot. So yeah, I mean, I've really worked step by step, brick by brick to be where I am.
Right, like not just you, like everyone who know you as a person are surely proud of you because of all your work and the things that you do for the society. So that's great. As you were recently featured in an episode of Dating These Days 2.0 by Bumble India, where you were subjected to some really mean and uninformed comments. So how do you feel about that?
So yeah, I think over the years I've become worse at dealing with a lot of hate online. People get better at it. I've only gotten worse. I think I've always received. I am privy somehow to receiving a lot of hate anyway, because I'm the lowest hanging fruit. I'm effeminate. I'm gay. I'm brown. You just say anything to me. It's just so easy to say something mean to me, and everybody else will join in, and they won't stand up for me. It's very seldom that someone stands up for someone like me. I'm the only one who stands up for me. So even when I won Mr. Gay India, I had received so much hate from the queer community itself, who mentioned that that I'm too ugly, that I'm too dark to represent them at an international stage. There were so many people who said that I wouldn't make a good model. And I think that was the only thing that made me feel really bad. I was like, I'm a fabulous model. How can you say that I'm not? I don't have it. You should go and look at my video when I'm walking, with my national costume on the main stage of Mr. Gay World. But I mean, I think it didn't affect me back then, because I was like, I'm someone who really values myself by who I am as a person inside. It didn't matter what I looked on the outside. But over the years, of course, once I started modeling more professionally, it became more and more important. All those negative comments about my face actually went away, and they started becoming more and more positive, and they were more like, you look so beautiful and all of that. And I thoroughly enjoy all of that attention. No lying about that at all. But I think when it comes to my demeanor, it's something that I cannot change. And when I just wanted to go and read people's comments, which I usually do not do. I usually avoid, because it's better that way. And sometimes when you're on a larger platform, because my story was also covered by Humans of Bombay almost a year ago, in fact. And there was so much positivity that came my way when my story was covered. I gained a lot of Instagram followers as well. And I was very happy to be, covered there, and everybody really, really appreciated who I was. But here I was really being 100% of myself, and I received so much hate online. A lot of rape threats, a lot of really mean things that people should not say, to anyone. But I received them. And the more I went through the comments, the more worse I felt, and I felt like I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't read the comments. So I took like a screen grab of the 4 really mean comments that I had read already. I didn't go lower than that. I was like, I don't think I'll be able to do that. So I took a screen grab, and I spoke about it on my Instagram, and I told everyone that it is unfair that I get to receive so much hate for what? For just being myself. And everybody, I still, I remember this. There was this one comment about how what I was wearing was, what girls should wear. I was like, I'm wearing a quad set which is made for men. I'm not even wearing something that, I'm not wearing women's. Imagine I'm not even wearing a skirt. I'm literally wearing a pant and a shirt, which is basically meant for a man. And people
conventionally accepted as a man cloth.
Exactly. And उसपे भी लोगों को problem है that this is supposed to be a woman's garment. And I was like, if like a Ranveer Singh was wearing this thing, then that would have been really edgy and cool. But when it becomes a part of my identity, when this is an extension of my personality and who I am as a person, it becomes such a big problem for a lot of people. And unfortunately, that is exactly how the world is. Like I said, I as a queer person, especially someone who happens to be feminine, I have to work doubly hard to prove myself. And I'm just used to it now. I'm like, what else can I do? I just have to work harder to prove myself, to prove my mettle. And I know that at one point in time, I will reach a point where I'll be very proud of it. I've always been very proud of what I've done. It's not been easy, but hopefully things will get better. I don't know.
It's so amazing that you're so confident and believe you believe in yourself so much, but it's equally sad that as you said, people from the LGBTQIA plus community itself did not support you. It's really sad. Like, forget about the people who commented, like maybe they are uneducated and unaware. At least these people are aware, and still they are pulling you back. That is so very sad.
I mean, yeah, it was quite it's quite heartbreaking, but I think we have to also look at the fact that the queer community in the end is also a part of the the masses in general, or the the opinion of the masses. They also form the opinion, right? So a queer person, every queer person has grown up in a patriarchal system. So there is going to be those standards of beauty, those standards of being that is going to penetrate, every sect of the society. And it has, of course, penetrated the queer community as well. So there is a lot of sexism, there's a lot of misogyny, there's a lot of hate for brown skin, or looking down upon your own kind. That's going to happen a lot. But I mean, how long are you going to sit there and think about and analyze कि मुझे कितने लोगों ने खराब चीजें बताया? I'm like, I don't have the time. I really don't have the time. I have so much work to do. I'm like, I have like, time is money. So I'm heading towards making more money. You can sit there and try it out. I'm going to be long gone. I'm going to use all your words, and I'm going to build a ladder out of it, and I'm going to climb that same ladder. And
surely totally agreed. So, like, coming from a very typical conservative Odia family, how difficult was it for you to come out to your parents?
Well, oh my God, it was insane. We are a very typical Odia middle class family. In fact, my mother comes from a joint family, so all my uncles and aunts and bhabi and bua and everybody stays under the same roof. like
Okay.
3-4 generations under the same roof at this point in time.
Oh my God.
So I think initially it was quite scary, to be honest, because coming out was one thing, pursuing a career which is so different from what is considered as a good career was also like another. I took up modeling, and that was also like a shocker for a lot of people. I mean, especially my mother, when she would see my pictures, and because I was, of course, I've done a lot of lingerie modeling and all of that. She would see all those pictures, and she like pehle so my mom would be like, don't send me these Odia re kahi bhi to they would say things like mate se photo pathe bunu se gandhiya photo pathe bunu, all of those things, which literally translates to don't send me those those dirty
Right.
pictures. That's keep it to them, keep it to yourself. But now she finds them very beautiful, and because I mean all of my pictures are very aesthetically done. I am a designer at the end, so for me, like I make sure that all of these pictures are very beautifully they translate eventually as a they should be visually appealing in the end. So yeah, I think coming out, coming back to your question, I digressed a bit, but coming back to your question about coming out, I just knew that if I won Mr. India, then it would just be easier. It's like instead of hitting the nail again and again, you just hit it at once, and then you get done with it. So when I won Mr. India, the next day I was on every Odia newspaper. So all my grandparents had already read about me. I was on ETV Odia, which is a very popular channel. I was on Taranga, all of those Odia channels, popular ones. So everybody saw me, everybody knew about me. Even in my village, everybody knew that I had won Mr. India. So now there is gay. So this is like. But I don't think they understood what it meant really. I mean, I don't think they understand the fact that being gay also means that I'm going to be with a man forever. I'm going to choose a man as my partner eventually, as my love interest. So those are things that are very foreign to them, and I'm fine with that. Really, I mean.
Okay.
It's okay.
It's also like it's nice that your parents are gradually understanding. Like as you said, your mom didn't even used to see the pictures, and now she finds them beautiful. So I think it's just a gradual process. You need to give it a time.
Very, very long process. So I would really recommend that anybody coming out, patience is key. It took me 10 years to reach a point where I can, have a healthy conversation with my parents again. So it takes time.
Right. Totally agreed. So what would you like to suggest to people who are still in their closet and are fighting to figure out about their identity?
I think first and foremost, for me, it's extremely important that we as queer individuals become financially independent. That should be the first, most important thing, which is why, I never dropped off college. A lot of people, when they win, different pageants, and when they become they start getting more and more work, they drop off college and they become, they take it up full time. But I was very well aware that, I as a queer person, there are going to be limited opportunities for me. So I need to be very smart about how I pick things up. And all of this is going to change, in the next 20 years. All of this, someone like me is going to get more opportunities and going to get more, films and TV shows and all of that,
Surely, yeah.
But I knew how much I could push myself, and I knew that I had to be very, very specific about making sure that I'm making good money. Because once financial independence is there, everything else is sab maaf hai. So I picked financial independence over everything else, and I was like, I'm going to study hard. I'm going to make sure that I'm independent enough, and then things just fell into place. So I would highly recommend that come out only if you can afford to come out. Make sure that you don't get kicked out of your house when you really need your parents and their financial support. So use it really well, use it smartly, and it's a lot of being very patient, being very perseverant, being very, very resilient. Resilience is probably one of the most difficult things to practice on a daily basis. And that's something that we as queer people have to do every day, because you're going to come across so much hate and so much negativity and so many mean things that sometimes your parents say to you as well. And that's when you have to be the bigger person, and you have to fight it off the right way and move towards and keep your eyes on the prize instead of focusing, digressing from your main focal point.
Exactly, totally agree. Like, if you have the financial stability, like, there's nobody to question you. So, that is really important, and I totally agree with that. So, moving ahead, what professional goal do you have for yourself?
Well, at this point in time, I've reached a point where I'm actually starting to focus a little more on my, personal life as well. I think for the longest time, I've been very, very, career driven, and I have a few things lined up. I mean, I think as things unfold, everybody will get to know about it anyway. I keep talking about my career and my professional goals very often on my social media. So I'm very happy with where I am right now. I've done a lot of good, projects as an illustrator. I've done a lot of worked on a lot of, games, developed, designed a lot of beautiful games this year. So, and done a lot of really nice and interesting, acting and modeling projects. I'm very happy with what I've done till now. I would want to continue doing what I do. I want to continue modeling. I want to continue being a technical artist. I want to continue working for bigger brands. Want to do bigger and bigger, better collaborations. Want to get richer. I think that's definitely on my mind. And in every which way possible, in financially and in terms of my experience as well. And I think now, and I think I am the kind of person who likes also taking my thinking about my personal life parallelly. So right now I have reached a point where I'm like, I need to start planning, what do I want to do in the next few years, when should I start family planning and all of that. So yeah, I think I'm becoming more and more of an adult now. I'm starting to think more about more facets of my personal life. We'll see how things unfold. Too early to say, we'll cross the bridge when we get there.
Yes, exactly. That's amazing though. So what are your hobbies and interests outside of modeling and all your work?
When do I have any time left after all these, 4 or 5 things that I anyway do professionally? I mean, I literally, every hobby that I started off has become, something professional at this point in time. I started off modeling as a hobby, but it became a profession. I didn't even realize when it became a profession, full-time profession. I started getting paid for doing all of that. So.
Yes.
Honestly, anytime I get some time in hand, I'm like, I want to eat and sleep. So that's what I want to do. So
that's the best thing ever. Okay. So what is your favorite quote that really inspires you, and why?
There were many, to be very honest. I think there's one that I remember, I'd heard Priyanka Chopra say that no matter what storm brews into my life, I know that I can shut the door to the outside world and move on with my life. And I think that's something that I live by every day. That no matter any problem I have, I will shut the door outside and I will just move on and keep creating, keep being a better person, keep doing better and better work. And I like being, I like having that facet of me who is very driven and who wants to achieve more and more and more. So yeah, I think when you want to do more, when you want to be bigger, you're going to receive a lot of hate and you have to shut them outside.
That's amazing. Like I really like the quote. It's really inspiring. So lastly, if there is anything you could change about your journey up till now, what would that be and why?
Oh my God. I wish I had someone who could sort of mentor me a little better, because I think I have done for me, it was a lot of trial and error. I had to try a lot of things and see what's working, what's not working. And that takes time. So sometimes I do wish, I had a mentor to sort of guide me and tell me what next should I really do? What is it that I should pick up next? Because I have been my own mentor and I've guided myself and I've told myself, let's do this, let's try this out, we'll see how things unfold.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it would have been nice. I would have not, I've also, been really, really vulnerable in a lot of meetings. You have a lot of meetings with a lot of agents and you have a lot of meetings with a lot of important, people of, importance as well. And sometimes not all of them have, good intentions. Sometimes they reach out to you with, ulterior motives as well. those are things that I
Right.
didn't know when I started out. I had to learn the hard way. So yeah, wish I had a little help that way.
Yeah, that's sad that you didn't have like a guiding figure, like a mentor along your journey. But I hope like you become a mentor to a lot of people, and I know you still are. Like you teach people and all of that. That's
I
really
have,
nice.
in some ways, I do have a mentor in Sushant, who has played a very, very important role in a lot of, good things that have happened to me. And I'm very grateful that, Sushant did for me, was something for someone for me who, you know, he didn't have the kind of guidance that, he has provided me with. So we both of us are sort of learning on the way, and we're trying to figure things out on the way. So yeah, I'm sure, once we get through all of this tomorrow, we will be able to give better guidance to a lot of people. So yeah, we'll get there.
Totally, yes. That's amazing. So that's all for this interview. Thank you, Anwesh, for joining this episode of Weekend Bite Season 2 and sharing your experience and journey in the modeling industry with us. It was really amazing talking to you. Like I got to learn a lot of things. It was surely like a fun as well as an insightful conversation. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Taishri, for having me. Really happy to be a part of this conversation, and lots of love to you and the team. And really looking forward to the episode.
Yeah, right. Same here. So, for everyone else, we will meet you again with yet another episode of Weekend Bite Season 2. So, till then, stay tuned and stay safe.